What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video, and welcome to probably another in a long list of too many Record Store Day haul videos. But it is what it is, and it's fun stuff. I love Record Store Day, and so we're going to talk about the records I picked up yesterday on Record Store Day 2024, and then a little bit of, I guess, a semi-review of them. I wanted to make sure I got a chance to listen through all of them and sort of process them a little bit and tell you a little bit about my thoughts on them. Some of them I was very aware of and was really looking forward to them coming out. Others were kind of blind buys I had never heard before, but it sounded really interesting. And so want to run through those. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So first one's a new wave of British heavy metal band that sort of fell in like that second or third tier of bands you think of. When you think of new wave of British heavy metal, you're thinking of Iron Maiden, you're thinking of Saxon, even the first two Def Leppard records. You're thinking of Satan, some of these other bands. But one of them that sort of, again, falls in that second tier is a band called Witchfinder General. And this is their debut record called Death Penalty. I'm going to kind of cover it because there's some non-censored anatomy going on there. So, Witchfinder General, Death Penalty. So, it was never released in the US. It was only a UK release, I believe 1982 or 83. And it came out yesterday for Record Store Day without a whole lot of hoopla. I don't know, metal fans out there, if this was on your radar or not. Now, the difference with this, between maybe some Iron Maiden or maybe some Saxon, is that this is very, this is pretty raw, pretty unpolished, both sonically in terms of production as well as just overall musicianship and how the instruments are played. So definitely hugely influenced by Sabbath. Although it falls in that new wave of British heavy metal, it doesn't have the speed and the gallop that some of those other bands had and still have today. But definitely a little bit more sort of doomy. They were very, very influential in later sort of doom bands. And so, yeah, it's a cool pickup again because it was never actually pressed in the US. And so original UK copies go for a good amount of money. So I was happy to pick up a reissue of that. But yeah, this is Witchfinder General and Death Penalty for all you metalheads out there. Now to something completely different. This was one of the records that was, as soon as I saw the list, I wanted this. I'm a huge fan of this sort of musical collective. And doing this a little bit more research, it was one of those that I wasn't sure how hot it was going to be, and it wasn't as hot as I think I assumed it would. It shows how much I know about records or really anything in this world. But that is the debut special edition release from Parliament. So the Parliament Funkadelic Collective, George Clinton and friends. So the very quick and dirty story of this is that this was a doo-wop group, the Parliaments, called the Parliaments in the 50s and 60s. And they actually formed Funkadelic first because they were the backing band for the Parliaments. And they couldn't use the term Parliament because the label at the time still owned the Parliament's name. So they had to call it Funkadelic. So sort of they wanted to call it Parliament. They couldn't, so they called it Funkadelic. And then later George Clinton was able to win the name of Parliament. And so it was two sort of separate bodies, but they toured together and it's sort of the big whole same family. As it would end up, the Funkadelic side were a little bit more hard rock, psychedelic funk influenced, while Parliament was a little bit more R&B and soul influenced. And so they did sort of sonically have differences. However, this is the debut from Parliament, 1970, Osmium. This sounds more like a Funkadelic record, if that makes sense. So this is psychedelic, hard rock, funky, amazing stuff. And again, originals of this go for a lot of money. So this was released, I think reissued by Demon Records, as a double with an extra disc of fun stuff. Here's the thing. This is amazing. This is such a good record. I was jamming out to this just a little bit earlier today. So good if you're into that sort of funky soul, psychedelic stuff. Here's my issue. This was like $42 or $45. And this seems to be such like a Record Store Day thing, is that they pack these double LPs into these single sleeves. So no gatefold, nothing. It's two LPs in these single sleeves. They do, I'm not going to get all bummed out about not having rice paper inners or anything like that. Inners are cool enough with some lyrics and all that kind of stuff. This comes on like a green, fine, it's green, cool, whatever, sort of vibe. But yeah, in terms of the record and the release, I'm pumped about it. They're saying it's an exclusive, was limited to like 4,000 or something. So again, I thought it would be maybe a little bit more rare. Who knows what ends up happening with it? But I love it. If you're into the P-Funk stuff, definitely go check that out. Next up, this is an artist who is always showing up on Record Store Day, again, into something completely different. We'll go new wave of British heavy metal into P-Funk, into, of course, jazz. And this was sort of a very popular title. Everybody digs Bill Evans. Originally on Riverside and then reissued by Kraft. This is the mono edition. I believe this came out in 1959. Yeah, I mean, this is perfect, right? The thing is with Bill Evans, and I mean this in the best way, he's amazing. He's arguably my favorite jazz artist, just absolutely incredible. But you also kind of know what you're getting all the time. For better, always for better, not for worse, but there's nothing you just know what you're getting. And so this is this is amazing. This is perfect Sunday morning listening. Absolutely incredible. It's just trio stuff. It's amazing. It's incredible. And this sort of, because of the packaging and how it's labeled, I mean, this really is basically an OJC without the OJC pricing, right? So this was like 30 or 32 bucks or something, while those OJCs are closer to 40. So yeah, I mean, this is amazing. If you want to get into jazz and you're not sure about jazz, or you are into jazz, you've probably picked this up, but this is outstanding. Very accessible. Nothing too far out there, just great piano trio stuff. Philly Joe Jones and Sam Jones on here, so just an incredible lineup. And yeah, everybody digs Bill Evans, including me. Let's keep it rolling here into some 2000s supergroup power pop type stuff. This was a pretty hot record. I had never listened to this record. When I heard about it, it just fascinated me. I'd never heard about this band. I thought the makeup of the band was a joke. It just threw me off so much. And I've seen some people show this. This is the record from Tinted Windows, which came out in 2009. So this is a super group with Adam Schlesinger from Fountains of Wayne, Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick, James Iha from Smashing Pumpkins, and then Taylor Hanson. Yes, Taylor Hanson from Hanson, the Mbop kid. I was like, there's no freaking way. This is incredible. I had no idea what to expect. I assumed it was going to be power pop, but I did not know it was going to be so good. This blew me away. This turned out to be a pretty hot item. I think it was an exclusive, only limited to maybe like 1,800 or so. I got the last one where I was at. But yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Comes on this cool, for the colored wax people. Love to see that stuff. A little cool black and red sort of combo there. But this is dope. I mean, this is blew me away. I mean, again, it's so funny hearing Taylor sing, because you're like, oh my God, it kind of does sound like the Mbop people. But like, it is. But it slaps. What's cool is you can hear every influence of each of the bands going on in here, and I absolutely love this. So killer pickup there. Super proud of it. Let's throw it back. Those who know me and know that my favorite band growing up, who I don't want to say I've lost interest in them, it's just one of those bands that, like, your favorite band growing up always just has such an emotional influence on you. And even if you fall off the sort of like fandom a little bit, they will always mean so much, and you become a completist. And for me, that band is Def Leppard. So of course they had a release, which was One Night Only live at the Lead Mill just last year, I think. Yeah. So the Lead Mill is a very, very tiny club in Sheffield, England, of course, where Def Leppard is from. And this was a smaller sort of intimate celebration. I think it was a fundraiser sort of set they did. Here's what I love about this, is a couple things. A, sonically, this is great. This is not your bootleg kind of quality recorded with, a potato in a back pocket or something in the 70s. Sonically, this sounds amazing. So amazing stuff. The second thing is, and I'll say, if you are a Def Leppard fan, I don't want to say buyer beware, but since it was like this small, intimate sort of club scene back home, the set list is not what you think it would be, right? So there's no Photograph, there's no Rock of Ages, there's no Animal, there's no Rocket, there's no Love Bites, none of that kind of stuff. A lot of deep cuts. They open with Action, the classic Sweet song that they originally covered back in 1994 on Retroactive. In fact, the first time I saw them back in 2005, they actually opened the show with Action. That's always been a huge thing. They play some newer stuff from like their most recent record. They play things like, they play a couple of hits from, not even hits, they play a couple of deep cuts from High and Dry, and then they close out the show with Wasted, which was basically their first single back from 78. So yeah, it's got the deeper cuts. They do still play like some Pour Some Sugar on Me and that type of stuff. But yeah, definitely some deeper cuts. It's not like a greatest hits collection by any means, but sonically brilliant, sounds great, and a really cool set list that you're not going to find on most other Def Leppard live records. Moving forward to another live record that I wanted to pick up because it seemed to be the reflection of where the band's at today. And I loved this record that this album was supporting. And that is the Rolling Stones Live at Racket NYC. So this, again, was another sort of one of those private big wig sort of shows that they did in NYC. I guess October 2023. So they play some stuff from like the new record, right? From Hackney Diamonds, right? You have Angry, Whole Wide World, and Bite My Head Off, and then Sweet Sounds of Heaven with actually Lady Gaga showing up. And then they play some bigger hits too, Shattered, Tumbling Dice, Jumpin' Jack Flash. Good stuff, right? I mean, look, they're old. Mick's old. They're old. And so, it's one of those things. And the thing is, I'm not going to say he sounds bad. Mick was never a great singer, right? Like that. So it's not like that's what I listen for. And so, I'm not going to comment. I mean, the sound quality is great. This was produced by Andrew Watt. So sonically, it sounds good, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought this was cool. I think this was originally released as part of the CD and some special edition release of Hackney Diamonds that they did. So for Record Store Day, they did this one. This comes in, I think, a white. Forgot to show some of the colors of the other stuff. Yeah, comes in a white. Good stuff. And actually, while I'm here, I'll show the wax on the Def Lep too, just for fun. Gatefold here, but left the shrink on. No race paper inners, but the inners are pretty dope. There's our boy Phil Collin ripping it up. Of course, Joe being Joe on the back. This is kind of cool. I thought it was just going to be like a standard gray, and it kind of looks like it at first, but you can tell it's got a little bit of splatter in there as well. So yeah, fan of that. Good stuff. I don't know. I'm like, with these Record Store Day things, when it's like a colored like set, I'm like, okay, this is cool, but like just like a standard like blue or pink or something, I'm like, whatever. But regardless, so we'll keep it moving. This next one was more of like that's fascinating. I would be curious to try that out. For those who know, I'm a huge power pop fan, and one of my favorites, and a lot of people's favorite power pop band is Big Star from the 70s from Memphis. And the leader of Big Star was Alex Chilton, who released a number of solo records really up until his death. So Alex Chilton had a release, and that release is called Clichés. So this was like a limited regional thing. I don't know. The website said that there was like 900 press, but the hub sticker says something different. Who knows? But this came out in 1993, so I don't think this was ever actually pressed to vinyl. So this is the first pressing of this record. Couldn't find it to stream anywhere. Obviously, it wasn't on Spotify or anything like that. Wasn't even on YouTube. But I was like, you know what? Like, I'm a big Alex Chilton fan. I'm going to take a guess here. I was kind of anticipating just like a latter year, good enough sort of pop alternative rock record. Couldn't I have been more wrong? No freaking way. This is like Alex Chilton doing like kind of schmaltzy crooner jazz vocal songs. Covers from the 50s. It's not bad. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's like perfect Sunday morning, snowy weather, like listening stuff. This could just not be any more different than what I was anticipating it to be. It is just him and an acoustic guitar. That is all. Nothing else. Got to show the wax. It's funny. They call this burnt orange. You know what I call that? Orange. I don't know. Burnt? What the fuck does that mean? But, yeah. Alex Chilton, not at all what I was expecting. I don't dislike it. I like it. It's just so funny, like having something so different than what you were expecting. But yeah, if you're into that sort of just very almost like Chet Baker minus the horn type stuff, think of like Chet Baker's style, Alex's voice, and just an acoustic guitar. There you go. You got it. These come out every Record Store Day, and I pick them up every time. This one's a little bit different. So this was the latest from the Jazz Dispensary, the great sort of jazz comps that Kraft Recordings puts out. This is called The Freedom Sound, The People Arise. So a lot of times the Jazz Dispensary are compilations that are really funky. They have some kind of theme to them. Sometimes it's soundtrack stuff. Sometimes, again, it's more funky classic stuff. This one's a little bit different because this one's out there. This one very clearly has a free-ish jazz spacey type of vibe to it for sure. So I love this because I love that type of stuff. But if those people are expecting something funkier like they've had in the past, That's not what this is. This is a little bit more out there. This is a little bit more trippy. They always do such a cool way. I was just talking about the color of the vinyl. This is dope to me. This is a great color. I'm all in on that. Amazing stuff there. But yeah, I love this stuff. This is, again, spacier, a little bit more free, not as like funky and straightforward as some of their other releases are, but still amazing nonetheless. And I guess last and not least here, this was a huge surprise for me. Again, kind of a blind buy in a sense, but I just like the story of it. I like these kind of independent labels who are doing these archival releases of some records that were maybe privately pressed 40, 50 years ago. And one of them, who I think are doing the best job, is Riding Easy Records. I mean, they're the ones responsible, if those who know, who do the Brown Acid comps. I mean, this guy just goes out and finds all this archival stuff from these hard rock bands from the 70s that people just didn't hear of, and he puts these comps together, and they're amazing. And so this was sort of one of those, not a comp, but this was a record that was privately pressed only back in 1976. Band called Band X, and this is called The Best of Band X. This blew me away. This was a little bit crazy. The hype sticker says, fitting in somewhere between contemporaries like Weather Report, Headhunters, and Shuggy Otis, this rare 1976 private pressing slaps. That's how they know that they're cool. Greg Payton of Band X is the Jimi Hendrix of the vibraphone. Yeah, I mean, this is jazzy. This is psychedelic. The vibes are insane on here. Absolutely amazing. Minus the price, it's a single LP and it was like $35. This was amazing. I mean, I'm so happy I picked this up. Limited pressing, but like it's not popular, so I think it's gonna be fine. But if you're into jazzy psychedelic stuff, you will probably absolutely love this as well. I did. So yeah, I would check it out. Amazing. Riding Easy Records is doing an incredible job with all this type of stuff. And man, I'm just glad I picked this up. It's great. So there's that. The only record I was really hoping to pick up that I didn't get a chance to pick up, like so many others, was the Gandalf that came from Jackpot Records. Super limited. I think most places only got a couple, if that. But you know what? Such is life. It's interesting. My last kind of note on Record Store Day is that, 3 or 4 years ago, when you would line up for Record Store Day, I'd get down there around like 4 or 5 a.m. and I'd be maybe like 15, 16 in line. I got down around 5 a.m. to the store I always go to, and I was 81st in line. 81st in line. So I love that. I think it's becoming more of a public sort of commodity. I think it's becoming more accessible. I think the titles are great. I know that there's a lot of people who are in this hobby that like to be gatekeepers and sort of say, oh, I hate these kids going all this and this. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Give it up. Enjoy the day. Enjoy that other people are listening to records and enjoying music. That's what it's all about, and supporting the local store. So hope everybody had a good Record Store Day. If you celebrated, if you didn't celebrate and you just stayed home and spun records, that's good enough for me too. But hope everybody's doing well out there. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, everybody.